How's it going, YouTube? Hope all you guys had a good Christmas. This is going to be my second movie review, and it's on Django Unchained. This is a movie that I had really been looking forward to. A movie that I talked to my brother about when we got word of information about it, and they said Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be the main villain, and that was something that definitely piqued our interest, especially considering he's one of Hollywood's golden boys. It seemed definitely interesting that they would cast him as the villain, and not only that, but they cast Christopher Waltz as the good guy, and he's typically the villain in most of the roles that he's played. And actually, one thing that a lot of people may not know is Will Smith was initially cast as Django, but a few weeks prior to the release, or the filming I should say, Jamie Foxx stepped in and took the role of Django. And a lot of people speculate that it was probably due to the fact that this was kind of a controversial subject movie, and Will Smith has typically been portrayed as one of the leading Hollywood type of actors, and he's kind of got a clean-cut image for most of the films that he's been in. So it could have been kind of a marketing folly against him, I guess you would say. But getting into the plot, based on the trailer, when the trailer first came out, I was getting a little nervous because it seemed kind of cheesy, but as soon as I saw the movie, it definitely surpassed my expectations. Starting with the plot a little bit, I thought that based on the trailer it would be mostly about the search for the Brittle brothers, but that was just the kind of intro into the main plot. Now, Dr. Schultz, who's Christopher Waltz's character, comes up to a group of slaves, and Django is one of them, and he essentially needs him in order to identify the Brittle brothers. Dr. Schultz is a bounty hunter, and he brings Django on as a partner in the bounty hunting business. And they're able to find the Brittle brothers, and that's kind of about the first 30-35 minutes of the movie. And after that point, they kind of form a partnership, and Dr. Schultz agrees to help Django find his wife, and that's basically the next 2 hours of the movie. Which brings me to another point. It's kind of a long movie, which is one of the negative things that some people have commented on, but really there wasn't much that could be taken out. I think that most of the 3 hours, or it's a 2 hour, 20-minute runtime, I think it was all necessary and helped with the story. And there's actually a lot of good dialogue in this movie as well. It's not a typical Tarantino gore fest. I'd say about the first hour and a half, I was like, this is not typical Tarantino. There wasn't a lot of killing and blood splatter, etc. It was more tame. But then there's a sequence at the end, probably in the final 30 minutes, that it's like Kill Bill, just blood everywhere, and brings you back to the typical Tarantino. And I think overall, Tarantino's one of those few directors who can do a good job of balancing comedy and a serious subject. And this is definitely something that a lot of other directors would have been scared to pursue, because it is on a subject like slavery. And Tarantino actually, in interviews while he was shooting the movie, said that he was going to be unapologetic. He says that a lot of people in America kind of overlook that time period and act like slavery never happened. So he said that he was kind of taking on a subject that a lot of people don't want to touch, and I kind of give him respect for that. And he also took it on from the perspective of like an Inglourious Basterds, where the slave is seeking the revenge as opposed to the other way around. It's kind of like a comeback story, I guess you would say. And in terms of the humor versus the seriousness, there's a couple pretty funny scenes. There's a scene that involves, essentially it's like a KKK rally, and it's basically a KKK rally gone wrong. They put these bags on their head. The eye holes don't fit, and it's basically just making fun of that group of people, and it's pretty funny. Most of the theater was laughing hysterically at that point, and a lot of people that I talked to thought that that was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. And in addition to that, I think the acting was really good as well. I think that Christopher Waltz and Leonardo DiCaprio could both see Oscar nominations, especially Leonardo DiCaprio. He played the villain role very well, and my surprise actor in this movie was Samuel L. Jackson, who, when he came in, it was just like, he played a pretty evil character. He was basically Leonardo DiCaprio's right-hand man, and he was kind of against the slaves. He saw slaves, field slaves, etc., as below him. He related much more to Leonardo DiCaprio and thought everything he was doing was okay. So he becomes essentially a pretty big villain in this movie alongside Leonardo DiCaprio, and he played the role amazingly. And in addition to that, one scene that definitely could have been left out was a Tarantino cameo, and I think he was essentially doing it for the fanboys, like someone like my brother who's really into Tarantino, seen all his films, and when he pops up on screen, they're like, oh, it's Tarantino, kind of like the Stan Lee cameos that are in all the superhero movies. But it was kind of lame. As good of a director and writer as he is, they could have easily left that scene out. It really wasn't necessary. He's not that great of an actor, but another surprising thing in the movie was the soundtrack. They had a totally broad spectrum of songs, including a Tupac remix and Johnny Cash. It was a very broad spectrum, but definitely a good soundtrack in my opinion. And in terms of where I think this ranks for Tarantino movies, I'm more of a fan of the Inglourious Basterds, Reservoir Dogs type, where he's got the really good dialogue, versus the Kill Bill, where it's more just straight violence throughout the entire movie. And I think that, in my opinion, this is right on the same level as Inglourious Basterds. It'll probably make my top 10 list for best movies of this year. And I think that one thing I just want to say in terms of the movie is, remember, it's just a movie. It was made for that purpose. Like, we can't look at all the violence in it and take it serious. That's something that I think some people get too caught up in when they watch the movie. Like, killing isn't something that's cool, but I think that if you're looking at it just from a theatrical standpoint, from a movie standpoint, it's an amazing movie, highly recommended. And I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10, and I can see it doing very well come award season. So that's my second movie review. Be on the lookout for my top 10 and for more movie reviews in the future. And I hope to do more reviews prior to the release date in the future as opposed to after. But since this one fell on Christmas, obviously circumstances kind of dictated that I had to wait a day or two later to see the movie. So hopefully you guys enjoy this, and talk to you soon. Peace.